Santo, a former enforcer in the Mafia, is now enjoying a peaceful life with his wife, Ingrid, and their hockey-loving daughter, Sofia. After one of Sofia's matches, Santo observes her greeting her boyfriend, Hakim. While Ingrid likes Hakim, Santo issues a friendly warning about hurting Sofia. In return, Sofia playfully reminds him of his promise to teach her to drive if she won. Eager to begin, Sofia and Santo go off-road, driving through fields and rivers, even smashing a mirror, yet relishing every moment. In the open meadow, over drinks, Sofia shares her desire for a trip with Hakim. Despite hesitations, Santo acknowledges her growing up, granting permission to her delight. Post-chat, Sophie wants to capture a photo of Santo, who initially refuses, but she manages to snap a few pics as he fixes the mirror, promptly sharing them on Instagram. Unbeknownst to Santo, facial recognition AI detects him, leading to a report to a Mafia boss. The next day, while working on lumber, Santo insists on fixing a broken machine, despite Patrick's suggestion to postpone. Santo sends Patrick to pick up Sophie from her hockey practice. Upon Sophie's return home, she checks her Instagram and notices that her dad's photo received many likes. In the kitchen, Patrick and Ingrid are joined by two men who silently enter the house, leading to unexpected and hostile encounters. The men immediately attack Ingrid and Patrick with bats, causing severe injuries. Upstairs doing laundry, Sophie witnesses the assault on her mother and Patrick, prompting her to escape by jumping from the second floor and running through the woods, evading gunshots. Meanwhile, Santo, just finishing work, attempts to call home but receives no response. Worried, he rushes back, pulling into the yard to discover the shocking scene of his wife and Patrick dead on the floor. Overwhelmed, Santo breaks down in tears, hyperventilating, and desperately calls for Sophie, who has returned to the house. He drags her away, revealing the devastating news about Ingrid's death and insisting they must leave. Sophie, in distress, seeks an explanation, but Santo, overwhelmed with anger and grief, tells her he can't explain now and urges them to keep moving. Santo takes her to an empty building, but Sophie refuses to stay, insisting they call the police. Grimly, Santo explains that involving the police could lead to his arrest. Despite this, Sophie persists in leaving, causing Santo to show a side of anger she has never seen before. Meanwhile, the attackers report back to their boss, revealed to be the Mafia's Don Angelo. Watching the video of the attack, he angrily informs them that they targeted the wrong person. Santo shaves his head and beard, reflecting on a past drive-by, sensing that his past might be catching up to him. He enters a hidden room with multiple passports, heaps of cash, and weapons, preparing for what lies ahead. Sophie, feeling confused and distressed, demands an explanation. Santo reveals his Sicilian Mafia past as their enforcer, confessing that his real name is Dominic Franz. Sophie, shocked, grasps why he avoided pictures. She blames him for their mother's death, feeling their life has been a lie. As Santo readies his weapons, he hands Sophie her cell phone, instructing her to use it only in emergencies. He assures her that he'll keep her safe before heading out. Instead of calling the police, Sophie changes her mind and contacts Hakim, urging him to come to her aid. Despite being warned about the police search, she shares her address, and he sets off on his bike. Meanwhile, Santo surprises a man entering his store, tossing him around and demanding information about the hit. After some resistance, the man reveals the names of the attackers, Mourinho and Rudy, Don Angelo's new right-hand man. Leaving the injured man behind, Santo sets off. Hakim reaches Sophie's location, but men tracking her from their call initiate a chase. Santo returns, calling for Sophie, who is nowhere to be found. Finding her cell phone and tire tracks outside, he jumps back into his car. Sophie and Hakim attempt to escape, but the pursuers open fire. Going off-road, they fall from the bike, and Hakim is shot in the head. As men approach, one grabs Sophie, attempting to throw her down. Despite her resistance, he binds her and throws her in the trunk. As the man attempts to leave, Santo ambushes him, unleashing a series of powerful blows to intervene. The man successfully stabs Santo and reaches for his gun, but Sophie, who managed to break free, launches an attack. Her intervention gives Santo the opportunity to pounce on the man, breaking his arm before delivering a fatal shot to his head. Sophie, looking around in shock at the aftermath, witnesses the damage she caused. Despite his aching wound, Santo heads back, struggling to stay on the road but eventually getting them to a nearby gas station. In the restroom, Santo, clutching his wound, instructs Sophie to cover up from the cameras as she goes inside to gather items to assist him. While hearing news reports about her mother and uncle and seeing wanted pictures for both of them, she gets the necessary items. Santo, working on stopping his bleeding and patching himself up, emerges from the restroom. Sophie, determined, declares that she will drive. Wondering if there will be an end to this ordeal, Santo reassures her that he will conclude it since he initiated it 20 years ago. Santo then decides to borrow a car, and they embark on their journey to Milan. Meanwhile, Don Angelo meets with his son Michel, who expresses concern that the attack will attract too much attention to the family. Angelo, however, is furious that Michel isn't more upset about Santo killing his brother years ago. They receive news about the restaurant owner's death, and despite Michel's attempts to dissuade his father, Angelo insists there are things he won't understand. Later on, he has a meeting with Dr. Ferrario, who played a crucial role in helping track down Santo. Angelo requests him to utilize the entire security network in Milan as their eyes to locate Santo and Sophie. Dr. Ferrario agrees willingly. Santo and Sophie arrive at a building, where he instructs her to wait. After grabbing his bag and breaking in, he calls for her, revealing it to be their hideout. While checking on his wound, Santo unexpectedly faints. Concerned, Sophie takes some cash from his bag and rushes to a store, where she encounters a group of Chinese women. She offers them cash to assist her dad. Soon, a few people come to transport Santo from the building to an underground hospital, where they patch him up. In the midst of his recovery, thoughts of his wife and daughter cross Santo's mind, and he expresses gratitude to his family for rescuing him from his tumultuous life. He especially thanks his daughter for bringing him joy. Santo awakens to find Sophie by his side, and they share a smile. Meanwhile, Dr. Ferrario meets with Michel, disclosing that his father's pursuit of Santo and his daughter will incur significant costs. Despite Michel's reservations, he finds himself with no choice but to comply with his father's decision. Returning to his office, Santo discovers that his team has located Sophie on their cameras, tracking them to the underground hospital. Rudy and his men infiltrate the building, but Santo, having anticipated their move, has already prepared for their escape. He instructs Sophie to hotwire a van while the men split up, cautiously searching the dark building. Rudy, entering a room, holds doctors at gunpoint, demanding information on Santo and the girl. Spotting Santo running, Rudy shoots at him, but Santo evades him by ascending a flight of stairs. Checking his surroundings, Santo ambushes Rudy, leading to a physical altercation. Santo throws him down the steps and takes his gun. Outside, Sophie arrives with the van, searching for Santo. Another man chases her and holds her at gunpoint, but before he can make a call, Santo intervenes and eliminates him. They return to their hideout, where Santo creates a powerful bomb. Realizing the need for Sophie to defend herself, Santo decides to teach her. He demonstrates blade usage and efficient ways to subdue an opponent in a few strikes. Later, Sophie pulls up floor plans for Michel's building, and the two strategize. Reflecting on the past, Sophie expresses regret for taking the photo, but Santo reassures her that it's his responsibility for the life he lived. He has a friend residing in South Africa, and he assures Sophie that they will successfully escape together when they eventually go there. Upon Sophie's arrival at the building, she diligently captures photos of the guards, promptly sending them to Santo, who is en route. Spotting a guard returning to his car, Santo ambushes him, coercing him to drive into the building's garage. After removing the guard from the car and rendering him unconscious, Santo seizes his gun. Proceeding to the guard's room, Santo compels one to open the elevators, rendering him unconscious as well. Meanwhile, outside, Sophie triggers a small bomb cleverly hidden in her bag, creating an explosion. Seizing the distraction, Santo bursts into Michel's office, taking him hostage at gunpoint. Guards quickly surround Santo, escorting him and the captive Michel back to the van, where Sophie is at the wheel. As they throw Michel into the van, guards open fire on Santo, who takes cover and retaliates. Sophie speeds away, hitting one guard before circling back to pick up Santo. A pursuing van attempts to force them into a collision, but Santo manages to shoot the driver. In their successful escape, they bring Michel to their hideout, confining him to a room before Santo departs once again. Don Santiago receives photos of Michel, accompanied by a message from Santo, warning him to publicly confess to his crimes within 24 hours, or Michel will face dire consequences. Summoning Dr. Ferrario, they utilize his expertise to trace the general location of the sent photo. Rudy, accompanied by other men, is dispatched to eliminate Santo. They arrive at a heavily armed train yard, and Rudy spots the van matching the photo. The men encircle the van, attempting to breach it, but their efforts are abruptly interrupted when one of them is shot. Chaos ensues as Santo swiftly maneuvers through the darkness, changing positions, and eliminating several men. The remaining men gather around the van for cover. Finding a safe location, Santo triggers the explosive in the van's back, causing a fatal outcome for the men. Frustrated, Rudy decides to search for Santo, who begins stalking him. Ambushing him from the roof, Santo stabs Rudy, tearfully revealing the innocence of his family. Rudy, unyielding, claims Santo doesn't deserve a family, prompting Santo to brutally stab him in the neck, leaving him to bleed. Meanwhile, back at the hideout, Sophie hears Michel crying for help. Removing the tape covering his mouth, she provides him with water. Michel expresses remorse for what happened to her family, attributing it to his father. However, he discloses that Santo is not innocent, having killed his brother and numerous others. He pleads with her to release him, and she contemplates it, but the sound of a ringing phone interrupts the moment. It's Santo on the line, expressing his apologies and uncertainty about making it back. Tearfully, she implores him to return. Meanwhile, Santo embarks on a solo mission to take down Angelo, engaging in intense battles and shooting his way through the guards. Upon reaching the Mafia Don, he shoots the glass, retrieves a rope, and ruthlessly strangles Angelo, achieving vengeance for his family. Stepping out of the house, Santo confronts an armed squad, accepting his fate as they open fire and ultimately kill him. At Sophie's location, additional men arrive and apprehend her, taking her into custody. She is sent to a government facility, where Michel visits her. Leveraging his connections, he manages to drop all charges against her, highlighting their shared experience of paying for their father's sins. Leaving her a card, Michel heads back to his car, revealing his true intentions to kill Sophie. Breaking out of the facility, Sophie plans to follow in her father's footsteps. Michel receives news of Sophie's escape, and to his astonishment, finds her sitting in his office. Calmly approaching him, she declares her intent to continue her father's legacy before pulling out a knife and stabbing him in the face. Sophie then vanishes into the city. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you want to watch more videos like this. Thank you for watching and see you again soon. Take care.